Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about population genetics. I'm your host welcoming you here. So the field of population genetics is concerned with the change in genetic variation within a group of individual over time. Population geneticists want to know the extent of genetic variation within population, why it exists and how it changes over the course of many generations. The field of population genetics emerged as a branch of genetics as 100 years ago when the its mathematical foundation were developed by the principle of Gregor John Mendel and Charles Darwin by deriving formulas to explain the occurrence of genotypes within population. These foundations can be largely attributed three scientists, Sir Ronald Fisher, Seward Wright, and J.B.S. Haldane. As we will see, support for their mathematical theories was provided by several researchers who analyzed the genetic composition of natural and experimental population. More recently, population geneticists have used technique to probe genetic variation at the molecular level. In addition, staggering advance in computer technology have added population genetics in the analysis of their genetics theory and data. So we start with this gene in population, then we go to the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So next, yeah. So gene in population. Population genetics may seem like a significant departure from other topics, but it is directly extension of our understanding of Mendel's law of inheritance, molecular genetics, and the ideas of the Darwin. In the field of population genetics, the focus shifts away from the individual and towards the population of which the individual is a member. Conceptually, all the alleles of every gene in a population make up the gene pool. In this regard, each member of the population is viewed as a receiving its gene from its parent, which in turn are the member of the gene pool. Furthermore, individuals that reproduce contribute to gene pool of next generation. Population geneticists study the genetic variation within the gene pool and low such variation changes from one generation to the next. The emphasis is often an allelic variation. In this introductory section, we will examine some of the general features of the population and gene pool. So the first is this population is a group of inbreeding individuals. So in genetics, the term population has a very specific meaning. With regard to the sexually reproducing species, a population is a group of individuals of the same species that occupy the same region and can interbreed with one another. Many species occupy a wide geographical range and are divided into discrete populations. For example, distinct population of a given species may be located on different continents, or population on the same continent could be divided by a geographical feature such as a large mountain range. A large population, usually a composed of smaller group called local population or dams. The number of local population are far more likely to breed among themselves than the other members of the general population. Local populations are often separated from each other by moderate geographical barrier. See, this is the how this population discrete. The next is the population level. Some genes may be monomorphic, but mostly they are polymorphic. So in population genetics, the term polymorphism refers to an observation that many traits display variation within a population. Historically, Polymorphism first refer to the variation in traits that are observable with the eye. Polymorphism in color and pattern have long attracted the attention of population geneticists. These individual studies involving yellow and red varieties of the elder flower orchid and brown, pink and yellow land snail, which are discussed later. See, I want to show you one figure here. See this figure. This figure illustrates a striking example of polymorphism in Hawaiian happy face spider. The three individuals shown in this figure are from the same species, but they differ in alleles that affect color and pattern. What is the underlying cause of the polymorphism? At the DNA level, polymorphism may be due to two or more alleles that influence the phenotype of the individual that inherited them. In other words, it is due to the genetic variation. Geneticists also use the term polymorphic to describe a gene that commonly exists as two or more alleles in a population. By comparison, a monomorphic gene exists predominantly as a single gene in a population. By convention, when a single gene is found in at least 99% of all cases, the gene is considered monomorphic. At the level of particular gene, a polymorphism may involve various types of change such as deletion of a significant region of a gene, a duplication of a region, or a change in a single nucleotide. This last phenomena is called the single nucleotide polymorphism. SNP are the smallest type of genetic change that can occur within a given gene and are also the most common. In humans, for example, SNPs represent 90% of all the variation in the DNA sequence that occur among different peoples. SNPs are found very frequent in genes. In human population, a gene is 2000 to 3000 base pair in length. On average, contains 10 different sites that are polymorphic. The high frequency of SNP indicate that polymorphism is norm for most human genes. Likewise, relatively large, healthy population of nearly all species exhibit a high level of genetic variation as evidenced by the occurrence of SNP within a most gene. Within a population, the alleles of given genes may arise by different type of genetic changes. This figure considered a gene that exists in multiple forms in humans. This example is a short segment of DNA found within a human beta globin gene. The top sequence of an allele designated HBA, whereas the middle sequence is called HBS. These alleles differ from each other by a single nucleotide, so they are example of single nucleotide polymorphism. See, up to here we have discussed two things. Now the last thing in the gene population is the population genetics is concerned with allele and the genotype frequency. As we have seen, population geneticists want to understand the prevalence of polymorphic gene within a population. Their goal is to identify the causative factor that govern changes in the genetic variation. Much of their work evaluates the frequency of allele in a quantitative way. Two fundamental calculations are central to the population genetics: allele frequency and genotype frequency. The allele and genotype frequencies are defined as allele, number of copies of an allele in a population divided by the total number of all the alleles for that gene in a population, and the genotype frequency is equal to number of individual with a particular genotype in a population divided by the total number of individual in a population. So these two frequencies are related. A clear distinction between them must be kept in mind. For example, let's consider a hypothetical population of 100 frogs with the following genotype: 64 dark green, 32 medium green, that 64 dark green with the genotype of capital G, 32 medium green frogs with genotype capital G small g, and 4 light green frogs with the genotype small g small g. When calculating in allele frequency, homozygous individuals have 2 copies of an allele, whereas heterozygous have only one. For example, in tallying the G allele, small g allele, each of 32 heterozygote has one copy of small g allele, and each light green frog has 2 copies. The allele frequency for small g equals to 32, say this formula, and finally we got 20% or 0.2. This result tells us that the allele frequency of small g is 20%. In other words, 20% of the allele for this gene in a population are the G allele. Let's now calculate the genotype frequency of small g, the light green frogs. So here this is the calculation, and we found it 0.04 or 4%. So we see that 4% of the individual in the population are light green frogs. Alleles and genotype frequencies are always less than or equal to 1. If a gene is monomorphic, the allele frequency for the single allele will equal or to be close to value of 1. For polymorphic gene, if we add a frequency for all the allele in the population, we should obtain a value of 1. In our frog example, the allele frequency of small g equals to 0.2. The frequency of other allele G, capital G, equals to 0.8. If we add the two together, we will obtain a value of 0.2 plus 0.8 is equal to 1. Now we comes to the Hardy-Weinberg equation. So now that we have a general understanding of gene in population, we can begin to relate this concept to mathematical expression as a way to examine whether allele and genotype frequencies are changing over the course of many generations. So in 1908, a British mathematician, Godfrey Harold Hardy, who is the also guide of Srinivasa Ramanujam, that Indian statistician, and a German physician, Wilhelm Weinberg, independently derived a simple mathematical expression that predicts stability of allele and genotype frequencies from one generation to the next. It is called the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium because, see, under a given set of conditions, which I describe later, the alleles and genotype frequencies do not change over the course of many generations. Why is Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is a useful concept? So, an equilibrium is a null hypothesis which suggests that evolutionary change is not occurring. In reality, however, population rarely achieve an equilibrium. Therefore, the main usefulness of the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium is that it provides framework on which to understand changes in allele frequency within a population when such an equilibrium is violated. To appreciate the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, let's return to our hypothetical frog example in which a gene is polymorphic and exists as two different alleles, capital G and small g. If the allele frequency of capital G is denoted by variable p and the allele frequency of small g by q, then p plus q is equal to 1. For example, if p is equal to 0.8 and q must be, then q must be 0.2. In other words, if the allele frequency of capital G equal to 80%, the remaining 20% of alleles must be small g, because together they are equal to 100%. The Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium relates allele frequencies and genotype frequencies for a diploid species. Each individual inherited two copies of most genes. The Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium assumes that the allele for a next generation for any given individual are chosen randomly and independently of each other. Therefore, we can use the product rule and multiply the sum p plus q together, because p plus q is equal to 1. We also know that their product also equals to 1. So the p plus q and p plus q is equal to 1. Then this comes to p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1, and this equation is the Hardy-Weinberg equation. The Hardy-Weinberg equation applies to a gene in a diploid species that it is found only two alleles. If equation is related to our hypothetical frog population in which a gene exists in alleles designated capital G and small g, then p square equals to the genotype frequency of capital GG, 2pq equals to the genotype frequency of capital G small g, and q square equals to the genotype frequency of small g. If p is equal to 0.8 and q is equal to 0.2, and if the population is in Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, then capital G is equal to p square then this comes to 0.64, capital G small g comes to the 0.32, and similarly small g come to 0.04. In other words, if the allele frequency of capital G is 80% and the allele frequency of small g is 20%, the genotype frequency of capital G is 64%, capital G small g is 32%, and small g is 4%. To illustrate the relationship between allele frequency and genotype, this Punnett square figure compares the Hardy-Weinberg equation with the way that gamete combination randomly with each other to produce offspring. In a population, the frequency of a gamete carrying a particular allele is equal to the allele frequency in that population. In this example, the frequency of a gamete carrying the capital G allele equals to the 0.8. So we can use the product rule to determine the frequency of genotype. For example, the frequency of producing a capital G homozygote is 0.8 into 0.8, which is come to 64.64 or 64%. Likewise, the probability of inheriting both capital G is 0.2 to 0.2, 0.2 into 0.2 is come to 0.04 or 4%, as seen in the figure, this figure. Heterozygote can be produced in two different ways. An offspring could be inherited capital G allele from the father and small g from its mother, or is vice versa. Therefore, the frequency of heterozygote is pq plus pq, which is equal to 2pq. In our example, this is 32% or 0.32. Now we move to our what are that condition. As I mentioned, I have told you that we will come to that later. So what are the condition? So in the absence of evolutionary change, the Hardy-Weinberg equation predicts an equilibrium, unchanging allele and genotype frequencies from generation to generation. If certain conditions are met in a population with regard to the gene of interest, these conditions are: number one, no new mutation. The gene of interest does not include any new mutation. The second point is no genetic drift. The population is so large that allele frequency do not change due to random sampling effect. Next point is no migration. Individuals do not travel between different population. Number 4, no natural selection. All the genotypes have the same reproductive success. The last one, random mating. With respect to the gene of interest, the members of the population mate with each other without regard to their phenotype and genotype. Hardy-Weinberg equation provides a quantitative relationship between alleles and genotype frequency in a population. This figure here describes this relationship for different allele frequencies of small g and capital G. As expected, when the allele frequency of small g is very low, the capital G genotype predominates. When the small g allele frequency is high, the small g homozygote is more prevalent in the population. When the allele frequency of small g and capital G are intermediate in value, the heterozygote predominates. In reality, no population satisfied the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium completely. Nevertheless, in large natural population with little migration and negligible natural selection, the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium may be nearly approximately mated for certain gene. In addition, the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium can be extended to stimulation in which single gene exists in 3 or more alleles. Now we come to the factor that changes allele or genotype frequency in a population. In the genetic variation in natural population typically changes over the course of many generations. The term microevolution describes changes in a population gene pool from the generation to generation. Such changes is rooted in two related phenomena. These are this is we describe in this table. First is the introduction of new genetic variation into a population in one essential aspect of microevolution. And these events are the random genetic drift, migration, natural selection. These are the thing. However, due to their low rate of occurrence, mutation do not act as a major factor in promoting widespread changes in population. If mutation were only type of change occurring in a population, that population would not evolve a single rate because mutations are so rare. So, microevolution also involves the action of evolutionary mechanism that alter the prevalence of a given allele or genotype in a population. These mechanisms are, say here, it are written here from the second lines: random genetic drift, migration, natural selection, and non-random mating. See this table. The collective contribution of these evolutionary mechanisms over the course of many generations have the potential to promote widespread genetic changes in population. So now we discuss one by one in all these. So first we discuss about mutation. Regarding mutation, I want to suggest you go to my previous video for gene mutation. The link is described here, written here, actually not described, mentioned here. So better you go if you want to see this one. Now we directly move to the genetic drift. In the 1930s, geneticist Sewell Wright played a key role in developing the concept of random genetic drift, or simply genetic drift, which refers to change in allele frequency in a population due to random fluctuation. As a matter of chance, the frequencies of allele found in gametes that unite to form zygote vary from generation to generation. Over the long run, genetic drift usually result in either the loss of an allele or its fixation at 100% in the population. The rate at which this occurs depends on the population size and on the initial allele frequency. So, to understand this, we have to make a hypothetical stimulation. So this is it. So this figure here illustrates the potential consequences of genetic drift in one large, the capital N is equal to 1000, and 5 small, capital N is equal to 20 populations. At the beginning of this hypothetical stimulation, all of these populations have identical allele frequencies. A is equal to zero point 0.5 and capital A small 0.5 and small a is also the 0.5. In the 5 small population, this allele frequency fluctuates substantially from generation to generation. Eventually, one of the allele is eliminated and the other is fixed at 100%. At this point, the allele has become monomorphic and cannot fluctuate any further. By comparison, the allele frequency in the large population fluctuates much less because random sampling error is expected to have a smaller effect. Nevertheless, genetic drift leads to homozygosity even in a large population, but this takes many more generations to occur. Now let's ask two questions. How many new mutations would we expect in a natural population? And the number two is, how likely is to that any new mutation will be either fixed or eliminated from a population due to random genetic drift? So with regard to these question, the first question, the average number of new mutations depends on the mutation rate, mu, and the number of individuals in a population, capital N. If each individual has 2 copies of the gene of interest, the expected number of new mutation in this gene is 2 and mu. From this, we see that new mutation is more likely to occur in a large population than in a small one. This makes sense because the large population has more copies of the gene to be mutated. With regard to the second question, the probability of fixation of a new arising allele due to genetic drift is 1 by 2n. In other words, the probability of fixation is the same as the initial allele frequency in the population. For example, if capital N is equal to 20, the probability of fixation of a new allele equals to 1 by 2 into 20 or 2.5%. Conversely, a new allele may be lost from the population. So the probability of elimination is equal to 1 minus 1 by 2n. If n is equal to 20, the probability of elimination equals to the 97.5%. If you may have noticed here, the value of n has opposing effect with regard to the new mutation and their eventual fixation in a population. When n is very large, new mutations are much more likely to occur. Each new mutation, however, has a greater chance of being eliminated from the population due to the random genetic drift. So, on the other hand, when n is small, the probability of new mutation is also small. But if they occur, the likelihood of fixation is relatively large. Now that we have appreciation for the phenomena of genetic drift, we can ask a third question and the last one. If fixation of a new allele does occur, how many generation is likely to take? See? The formula for calculating this also depends on the number of individual in the population. T is equal to 4n, where T is equal to the average number of generation to achieve fixation and n equals to the number of individuals in a population, assuming that males and females contribute equally to the each succeeding generation. As you may have expected, allele fixation takes much longer in large population. If a population has 1 million breeding member, it takes on average 4 million generation, perhaps an insurmountable period of time to reach fixation in a small group of 100 individuals. However, fixation takes only 400 generation on average. So in nature, there are different ways that geography and population size influence how genetic drift affect genetic composition of a species. Some species occupy wide range in which small local population become geographically isolated from the rest of the species. The allele frequency within these small population are more susceptible to genetic drift because this is a random process. Small isolated population tend to be more genetically disparate in relation to other population. This may occur the following bottleneck effect and the founder effect. So bottleneck effect is the, see, this change in the population size may influence genetic drift by this effect, this bottleneck effect. In nature, the population can be reduced dramatically in size by events such as earthquake, flood, drought, or human destruction of habitat. Such events may randomly eliminate most of the member of the population without regard to genetic composition. The initial bottleneck may be greatly influenced by genetic drift because the surviving member may have allele frequency that differ from those of the original population. In addition, allele frequencies are expected to drift substantially during the generation when the population size is small. In extreme cases, alleles may even be eliminated. Eventually, the population with the bottleneck may regain its original size. However, as seen in this figure, however, the new population has less genetic variation than the original large population. As an example, Africa, in the Africa cheetah population lost substantially amount of its genetic variation due to the bottleneck effect. So founder effect, one is the another thing is founder effect. Geography and population size may also influence the genetic drift via this founder effect. Compared to the bottleneck effect, the key difference is the founder effect involves the migration. A small group of individuals separates from the larger population, establish a colony in a new location. This is the founder effect. Now we move to the migration between the two population, how this alter the frequency. We have just seen how migration to a new location by a relatively small group can result in a population with an altered genetic composition. In addition, migration between two different established population can alter allele frequency. For example, a species of bird may occupy two geographical regions that are separated by a large body of water. On rare occasions, the prevailing winds may allow birds from western population to fly over this body of water and become members of the eastern population. If the two populations have different allele frequencies and if migration occurs in sufficient number, this migration may alter the allele frequency in the eastern population. After migration has occurred, the new population is called conglomerate. The calculate the allele frequency in the conglomerate, we need two kinds of information. First, we must know the original allele frequencies in the donor and recipient population. And the second, we must know the proportion of the conglomerate population that is due to migrants. With these data, we can calculate the change in allele frequency in the population, new population, using this equation. Delta PC is equal to M PD minus PR, where what is what I have written, so you can read. Now we move to the before we move, I think I have to tell you what is gene flow. So gene flow actually is a phenomena whenever individual migrate between population and the migrants are able to breed successfully with the member of the recipient population. Gene flow depends not only on migration but also the ability of the migrants alleles to be passed to subsequent generations. Now we move to the natural selection. In 1950s, Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace independently proposed a theory of evolution by natural selection. According to this theory, the condition found in nature results in its selective survival and reproduction of individuals whose characteristics make them better adapt to their environment. These surviving individuals are more likely to reproduce and contribute offspring to the next generation. Natural selection can be related not only to the differential survival but also to mating efficiency and fertility. A thing uh, modern statement for the principle of natural selection can relate our knowledge of molecular genetics to the phenomena phenotypes of the individuals. These are four uh, things. See one by one. Within a population, allelic variation arise in various ways, such as though a random mutation that cause difference in the DNA sequence, a mutation that creates a new allele may alter the amino acid sequence of the encoded protein, which in turn may alter the function of a protein. The next point is some alleles may encode proteins that enhance an individual's survival or reproductive capability compared with that of the other members of the population. For example, an allele may produce a protein that is more efficient at a higher temperature, conferring on the individual a greater probability of survival in a hot climate. Next point is individuals with beneficial allele are more likely to survive and contribute to the gene pool of the next generation. And the last point, over the course of many generations, allele frequencies of many different genes may change through this process, thereby significantly altering the characteristic of a species. The net result of the natural selection is a population that is better adapted to its environment and more successful at reproduction. Even so, it should be emphasized that species are not perfectly adapt to their environments because mutation are random events and because the environment tends to change from generation to generation. Now we have to move our last topic, that is the non-random mating. So as mentioned earlier, one of the conditions required to establish the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium in is random mating. This means that individuals choose their mates irrespective of their genotype and phenotype. In many cases, particularly in human population, this condition is violated frequently. When mating is non-random in a population, the process is called assortative mating. Positive assortative mating occurs when individuals with similar phenotype choose each other as mate. The opposite situation when dissimilar phenotype mate preferentially is called negative assortative mating. In addition, individual may choose a mate that is part of the same genetic lineage. The mating of two genetically related individuals such as cousins is called inbreeding. This is also termed as consanguinity. Inbreeding sometimes occurs in human societies and is more likely to take place in nature when population size become very limited. We we will examine that how inbreeding a useful strategy for developing agricultural breed or strains with desirable characteristics. Conservatively, outbreeding, which involve mating between unrelated individuals, can create hybrids that are heterozygous for many genes. So, during inbreeding, the genes pool are smaller because the parents are related genetically. In 1950s, Malacot developed method to quantify the degree of inbreeding. The inbreeding coefficient is a probability that two alleles in a particular individual will be identical for a given gene because both copies are due to descent from a common ancestor. An inbreeding coefficient can be computed by analyzing the degree of relatedness within a pedigree. So these are the factors which are not factors, actually conditions to follow this Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So these are the key points, some key points for Hardy-Weinberg. So all I have to read actually. All the alleles of every gene in a population constitute the gene pool. For sexually reproducing organisms, a population is a group of individuals of the same species that occupy the same region and can interbreed with one another. Polymorphism refers to a trait or genes that exhibit variation in a population. Single nucleotide polymorphism is the most common type of variation in the gene. Geneticists analyze genetic variation by determining allele and genotype frequencies. The Hardy-Weinberg equation can be used to calculate genotype frequencies based on allele frequencies. Deviation from Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium indicates that evolutionary changes is occurring. So now this video is finished. This Hardy-Weinberg is completed. I think I have made this useful for you. If you listen this very patiently, I am very thankful to you. It is very important thing, this population genetics actually. So thank you all. Thank you.